let's review our yesterday's beginner challenge. So, first of all, is world champion woman. Let's see what everyone has done so far here. So, first of all, we got a function. So by default, this was empty, right? So we got this function and we got that function. So we had to invoke both. So first of all, Mobin, I like what he did, because he's literally just invoking the first function and then invoking the second one. That's all good, right? My only concern is about readability, right? Because the indentation here is a bit random, right? So we should probably move this, to a new line, move that to the new line as well. So there should be probably a line here, right? And then finally move the parentheses to a new line as well, right? That will be probably the best thing. But from the logic point of view, I think that's pretty much what we wanted. About Yi, and that's very interesting. What do you think about her solution? It's a bit controversial, right? Because why do we want an is world champion function? Why do we want an is woman function if we are not calling them? We're ignoring this function, right? So we are reinventing the wheel. We are checking this property again. We are checking that property again. But we were expected to invoke this function and we were expected to invoke that function. If you compare it with Mobin, you see the differences, right? Even though it's a bit complicated to see. But you see that Mobin is world champion, parentheses. So Mobin is executing this and Mobin is executing that. Yi went too deep. So Yi started to analyze the details of the athlete object. We don't want that, right? So if we have this function, that function, we should just invoke it. Cool. Thank you. And then we got Alex. And Alex got a huge penalty here, right? And you see why. So I think Alex did two unnecessary things. First of all, to write everything on a single line. And then, question, do we need this? No, right? Because if this evaluates to true and that evaluates to true, the result will be truthy, right? If any of these two functions evaluates to falsy, the result will be falsy. So this is redundant. It's okay, don't get me wrong, it's okay, but we are making our example unnecessarily complex. Does it make sense? Cool. Next question. Get average. We got three numbers and we want to get the average, right? In this particular aspect, the same thing. We already have the function to calculate the average, so we were expected to invoke it, which is what Mobin did. That's perfect, right? We have this function, just call it, right? We have the list of values, just pass the values to the inner function. That's it. Easy, right? Yi, you see, I like what Yi did in this particular aspect. She definitely invoked this function. So they both did the same thing. That's what we wanted. That's really good. And then, oops, sorry, I clicked somewhere. And then, Alex as well, right? That was an easy question. So question number 3. We wanted to get a hello world, a hello message, right? So we got the first name, we got the last name. So we wanted just to display hello, comma, first name, space, last name. So Mobin didn't manage to get the solution. Let's see what he did. So yeah, so we got the name, but we were expecting, I believe, 2 arguments, right? The first name and the last name. So that's the first problem. The second argument was missing, so that's why there is a bit of mess here. So if we compare with what Yi did, yeah, so it's probably easy just to compare both solutions, right? So you can clearly see that what we need to do, right? So we received 2 arguments, first name and last name, and then we just have to display using template literals. I like that. That's a good approach. Hello, comma, first name and last name. And Alex, she did literally the same thing as Yi. So Mobin Do you have any question in regards to this example? You definitely, yes. You overcomplicated. Look, so you got the idea. Look at the last line. The last line was looking better. So can anyone spot why the last line, ignoring the rest, is wrong? Sorry? It's the backticks. Look, so Mobin use single quotes, but every time we want to use this pattern, which is very, very powerful, instead of single quotes, we are expecting to use backticks. Right? That was the main issue. And yeah, apart from that, you mess a bit with the arguments. So remember, on the left-hand side, we got two arguments, A and B. I mean, you can figure out this is first name and last name. You can call that A and B, X and Y, whatever, right? But definitely two arguments. So then we were expecting to bring two arguments here, like G did, see, first name and last name, and then we just had to format the message, right? Cool. Question number 4. So in this particular case, so we want to calculate the number of remaining bank holidays. So we have what type? How many arguments do we have? 1, right? So what's the type of the argument? Is it a string, an object? What type of data is it? It's an array. An array of what? Correct. We have an array of objects. So we want to extract out of this list of dates how many bank holidays do we have. This is easy, right? Because we have this property which is friendly telling us whether this date is a bank holiday or not. So this is essentially based on 2 steps. First of all, we need to filter the bank holidays, and then we'll get another array, because filter returns a new array. And then how do we get the size of the array? Correct, as for the length, right? So let's see what G did. So G, yeah, I like that. So dates.filter, you see, and then she's checking whether this is a bank holiday. So what type of data holiday is? Is it an object? Is it a string? Is it a boolean? A what? An object. Wrong. It's an array. Look, we are doing array dates.filter. Right? And remember, if we have dates in here instead of the argument, it's convenient to display it as a singular. Remember, Caio? Right? Because we have a list of dates, and then we want to check each individual date of the list. Right? That's really good. I like that. And then Alex, yeah, she got another unnecessary penalty because of the very long line, but she did the same thing, right? You see, it's literally the same solution. I mean, I'll be honest. I like something about what Alex did is the naming convention, because ye call it holiday in singular, but in reality, holiday is still an array, right? It's still an array of dates. That's why in that aspect, I like what Alex proposed of calling it bank holidays. It's giving you better feedback, right? Hey, this is still a list of dates. But, however, in terms of formatting, you see what G did is a bit more elegant, because you don't need to massively scroll to the right to understand the algorithm, right? It's just dates.filter, then we got the callback function, and that's it, right? It's a bit easier to read, in my opinion. And then for the last question, I'm going to ask Mobin to come here and to help us with the resolution. So we wanted to calculate triple odd number. So the question was, A, if the number was even, then just return it. If it was odd, then get the triple, right? So let's skip directly to that question. Right? And interestingly, the algorithm was partially solved already, right? So we got some code on it. So this is a real scenario where you are working with a colleague, and he or she spent a while trying to sort this problem, but is unable to identify why the algorithm is not working as expected. So then he comes to you and says, hey, could you please help me to figure out or to spot where the problem is? So, Mobin, What do you think?
Okay, first time looking at it, but let's give it a go. Function triplet.
Right, so I accept Movin's feedback or Caio's feedback or Michael's feedback or anyone who hasn't completed this question yet. Ben as well. This is not working, and if we try to evaluate it, it will tell us that something is not correct, right? So why is not working? Remember, if else. So inside of the if block, how many instructions do we have? Ben, Caio, Michael, Movin, how many instructions the if condition has inside of it? The what? The curly brackets, correct. We're expected to surround the if, the two lines, line number 3 and line number 4, within brackets. Curly brackets. Correct. So after the if, I mean, after the parentheses, so after the condition, on the right, correct. Then we are expected to open the bracket, perfect, and then to close it before else. Yeah, like that. Then can we add a space for readability purposes? Yes, perfect. So look, wait a minute. So now we are clearly telling if that condition happens, then do all these things. With the curly brackets, we are declaring the scope of our algorithm whenever the condition is met. Now I got a question for you all. Is this correct or not? Do we need them? Can you test it, Moby, and see what happens? Cool, that's very interesting, right? That's very interesting. And some of you were not expecting this scenario. So even though we definitely need them for the if, they are not necessary for the else. Why?
Because it evaluates on the if.
No?
So only because there's only one.
Exactly. In JavaScript, if you want to perform just one action, like else, the curly brackets are not necessary. However, if you want to perform more than one action, they are necessary, right? However, my recommendation is always put the brackets, because otherwise the code will be harder to read, right? So could you please add the brackets, Moby? The same thing you did on the if? Yeah. Cool. Looks good, right? Does it work? Perfect. Nice one. Okay.
Is there not some redundancy in that first function part? Because I just left it as return number equals number to the power of 3.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not against that. The goal of the exercise was not to evaluate how good our colleague is, right? Writing code. It was just to fix the issue. But you are right. Technically speaking, can we simplify this? How will we say one line here? Say it again? Yeah? Yeah? Here? Like that? Like that? Michael? Will this work? Yes, he's right. This is a shorthand, right? When we do number star equals, that's the same as doing number equals number multiplied by 3. That's the same. You are right, right? However, that's not what I wanted to get, because even though that's definitely improvement, I wanted to merge these two lines. So how can we do those two things in one go? Second? Just return next to it. Where? Here. Like that. Like that. That is correct, right? Right? In reality, look. Can we do that? As simple as that, right? If the number is odd, how do we know this is odd? Do you know what's the name of this symbol? The modulus, correct. That's the modulus, right? So what's the modulus of dividing 7 and 2? 1, correct. What's the modulus of dividing 6 and 2? Correct, right? So that's why if it's 1, it means that the number is odd, right? So in this particular aspect, so if it's odd, if it's 7, for example, we return 7 multiplied by 3, so we'll return 21. However, if that's not the case, if it returns 0, we just return the number, right? And then last question, because we're talking about improving the readability of our algorithm, even though that was not requested. So how can we do that in literally one line without getting any penalty? Ternary. Who said that? Tom? Okay, how we do ternary here? Okay, I'll leave it here for reference. I'll delete it in a second. But what? Return, yeah. Correct. Equals 1. Equals 1. Space question mark. Yep. And then what? Like that? Will it work? Simpler. Can we make this line even shorter? No. Right. So, call me crazy, but can I do that? Yeah, look at that. Yes, you were thinking about that, right? Of course you can. Why? Because remember that the conditions are evaluated as truthy or falsy. If that returns 1 is truthy or falsy? Falsy? No, it's truthy, right? Every number apart from 0 is evaluated as a truthy number. So if it returns 1, it will run if. If we got 60 modulus 2, which returns 0, is 0 evaluated as a truthy or as a falsy result? Falsy, correct. So if we got an even number, it will jump to the else block. Make sense? This is probably the shortest solution possible. Is there any question regarding beginners? No? Cool. Thank you, guys.